public safety, security, and emergency preparedness. In most cases, construction sites are located close to public areas or amongst already populated public spaces. In the interests of protecting the general public from the hazards associated with these construction sites, it is necessary and the responsibility of the contractor to display appropriate signage to inform the public of the dangers apparent during the construction period. No unauthorized entry warning signs must be placed at both the entrance as well as around the perimeter of the site. It is important that the entire site be fenced off to stop unauthorized persons entering the site. It is also necessary to display signs to inform visitors of where they are to go when visiting a site. An example of appropriate signage would state, "Visitors to report to site office." Identify general hazardous areas that require warning signs. Examples of these areas would include hard hat zones, areas where overhead work is taking place, and areas that require protective footwear. These work areas must clearly be marked with appropriate SANS symbolic safety signs. It is up to the contractor to have required nets, canopies, and stalls put in place to protect the public from site hazards when members of the public are passing by or through part of the site. Accidents can happen and falling debris or materials can seriously injure members of the public if these precautions are not in place. Construction site security is very important as it protects both the public as well as employees of the site. The contractor must see to it that adequate access control is in place at all entrances of the site to monitor any persons or vehicles entering or leaving the site. Security control is to be in place during working hours, after hours, as well as weekends. An emergency can happen anytime, anywhere, especially when you least expect it. Being prepared for an emergency both mentally and physically is essential for your safety. In the event of an emergency, it is imperative that an appointed emergency coordinator takes charge of the situation. The appointment of a suitable emergency coordinator must be made in writing. Contact and emergency numbers that may be needed in the event of an emergency must be posted near telephones so as to be easily accessed. To ensure that the site may be efficiently evacuated in the event of an emergency, an evacuation procedure must be developed. This procedure is to be written out and posted on all notice boards. Take the time to read through the procedure. It may just save your life. It is essential that all employees on site be informed of the site-specific procedure. Audible alarms such as sirens must be included on site so as to alert all employees of an emergency. To ensure that employees are fluent in the evacuation procedure, evacuation drills must be conducted on a regular basis. The correct execution of these drills will prepare and equip you for any real-life emergency. Any emergency that involves fire can be extremely dangerous. It is because of this that a sufficient number of employees are required to be trained in the proper use of firefighting equipment. Those properly trained must be able to bring any potentially dangerous situations under control. By following these simple rules and principles, you will ensure that your site is adequately safeguarded for both workers as well as members of the public. By having sufficient access control as well as good emergency planning in place and practiced, you will ensure the highest level of public safety, security, and emergency preparedness on your site.